What's happening in the community around our fabulous lake? Find out with Martine Patterson every Monday between 9 a.m. and 12 noon. Lake Mac Life on Lake Macquarie FM 97.3. It's just a soul and feeling. Yeah, moving with the beat.
I'm good, I've done a few.
And you're with Martine on Lake Macquarie FM, the new 97.3, and I have with me some two top blokes here. Chris Newman, he is RU OK Ambassador of the Central Coast, and Martin Beggs, he is the President of the Wyong Toastmasters. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning, Martine.
Morning, Martine.
Thank you so much for joining us today, because it's a pretty important month for the RU OK movement, and of course we need to know what is out there in the community and how we can access it and get better health, mental health with it. So, Chris, what is the RU OK?
Yeah, RU OK Day was founded in 2009 by Gavin Larkin. He chose to come up with something to honour his father, who he lost to suicide.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It was something that he wanted to come up with for other families to not go through the pain that he endured himself and things like that. So,
And where was Chris Larkin from?
Gavin Larkin was from Sydney.
From Sydney?
Yeah, from
right.
Bondi.
Wow.
So yeah, he grew up there, and so it was I suppose it was a legacy he wanted to leave.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he had cancer at the time and passed of cancer 2 years later himself.
My goodness me.
Yeah, so
wow.
It's a legacy he's sort of left behind, and yeah, it was an idea and a suggestion he had, and you know, everyone's talking about it.
Well,
now.
I tell you what, it certainly has come to life.
Yes.
So congratulations to him for getting it off the ground. And it's another great example of how one person with an idea can, you know, garner support, and now this is a movement, isn't it?
Yes, most definitely. Like, the mission is to inspire and empower everyone to meaningful conversation and connect with people, you know, around the world, and support them. And support anyone that's struggling with life.
And talk about mental health. Good mental health that needs improving. We've all got mental health, and it's to bring it open and ask people, are you okay?
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of us are not a lot of the time.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah, we've all had a brush with it, some more than others, and I guess it's how we our support around us and how we cope with that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Very interesting. So, Martin, you're here with Toastmasters. What is Toastmasters doing with RU OK?
Well, we've got an invitation to apply for a small grant.
Right.
To help promote the RU OK organisation.
Excellent.
And Wyong Toastmasters applied for it, and we were very, very chuffed that we were selected.
Right.
And we're using that this Friday, this week. We're having a big presentation with RU OK at Wyong RSL during the day, because Wyong Toastmasters is a daytime club. Even though RU OK Day is on the 13th, our meeting was on the 7th, so we decided to go early to start promoting it. We're going to have members of lots of service clubs, Vietnam vets, the RSL,
Brilliant.
people that are involved with veterans, as well as the community groups that lift people's spirits, make them feel good to be with the different organisations.
Yeah. I tell you what though, the RU OK needs to be in every community group, to be honest. I mean, it touches every single one of us. It doesn't matter what our background is or what our community group is. So, Wyong Leagues...
Wyong RSL.
Sorry, Wyong RSL. And what time is it this Friday?
It starts at around 10:30 and finishes at 12:30. We're going to have at least 50 representatives from all these different groups in our community, and we'll be running a Toastmasters meeting and involving everyone in it.
Wow.
Ralph Smedley had a lot of an idea, just like Chris was talking about RU OK. In 1924, he saw through the YMCA these young men coming out of college, coming out of high school, who couldn't put two words together to promote themselves, because he saw them as future leaders. So he decided to create an organisation that would educate them in communication, self-awareness, to be able to stand up and speak on any topic. And 1926 was the first meeting in Santa Ana, California.
Yes, yeah.
And when you think about it now, that's 94 years this organisation's been running.
Wow.
It started off in 1982, they had 100,000 members. 2004, they had 200,000.
Yeah.
And now in 2018, they've got 357,000.
Oh my goodness.
And that's worldwide. That's in 143 countries.
Yeah.
And that's over 16,000 clubs.
Wow.
Even in New South Wales, we've got 300 clubs.
Yeah.
So there is a Toastmasters club, either nighttime or daytime, within 20 minutes of basically everyone, especially on the Central
That is
Coast.
absolutely terrific. And it's not just for school leavers, it's for anyone of any background, any age, men and women who want to gain communication skills, but also leadership skills, which is
Leadership
really
skills,
important.
especially
Yeah.
the younger people.
Yes.
Now, I don't know what age they leave school now. When we were going to school in high school, we left our first opportunity.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
But if
you
they
ran.
we ran at year 12. A lot of the students are going through. Toastmasters starts when you're 18. You can join.
Yeah, so it's
But
a good time.
these young people going along to an employer and presenting themselves, a lot of them don't have the skills.
Oh, very much so. Those interviewing skills, presenting it, because ultimately you've got to sell yourself, and I think that's the hardest thing to do is to sell yourself.
And it is
whether
the
it's
hardest.
at an interview or whether it's within mental health. Sometimes
Yes.
selling yourself to yourself is the hardest thing.
Because you keep thinking that you're big noting yourself.
Oh,
When you
yes.
say my skills are this and this and this.
Exactly.
But learning to put it all together with Toastmasters, you learn how to present without sounding like you've got tickets on yourself.
Yeah. So it's a very natural way of doing it. So you've got involved. Toastmasters have, as a community group, has picked up Are You OK? So Chris, why is it important to ask if are you okay?
Are you okay? Like the significance of the Are You OK Day on the 13th of September is, it's a highlight to us, anyone and everyone. Are you okay? We see differences in people's lives, and it could be financial hardship, it could be school stress, it could be anything. But I think the biggest thing we need to get across is, yes, 13th of September is Are You OK Day, but every day has to be Are You OK Day.
Definitely. I mean, that is the flag bearing day, but every day is an Are You OK Day.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think, it's an important thing to do to anyone and everyone. Sometimes, and I suppose on the flip side of that is, if you are asked, are you okay, and you're not, it takes courage to speak up, and it takes courage to speak up and say that you're not okay, and seek that help. And it's important to recognise that as well. And I think Are You OK Day just signifies all those sort of things that come into perspective.
Yeah. I can see why Toastmasters would want to align yourselves with Are You OK? I mean, on a number of levels, because learning better communication is the way really, and communicating and on different levels with different people. It's the way that we can tap into this movement of Are You OK? So coming along to something like Toastmasters is going to build our skills on how we can ask people in our family groups, in our work groups, in our community, are you okay? But I guess as well, a community group such as Toastmasters is really a safe place for people to come to learn better communication styles, to feel better about themselves, to get that job, to meet the parents-in-law, all of those things.
We've had people come along that in 6 weeks' time they have to give a speech at their best friend's wedding.
Well, yeah.
And they don't know how to do it.
Oh, it was scary. Scary stuff.
When they have approached Toastmasters, they learn, instead of waffling, they pause to give the brain a chance to think of what to say next, or they've got it written down and they've worked out we need a 5-minute speech. So through Toastmasters you can learn to chop and change, because if you've got 2 pages of foolscap to look at, that's usually about 7 or 8 minutes.
Right.
Unless you run through it. So you're taught
and
to...
you don't want to run through.
No,
you
you're
want
taught to slower and just pause, get the message across. So this is one skill, but also it's a social outlet for a lot of our members. We have members as old as 85
Wow.
who have been in Toastmasters for 25 years.
Wow.
We have ones that have just joined, who's a 25-year-old, but he realised that he needed to be able to present himself better to his workmates and to the general public and to higher up the food chain in his organisation. We've got members of Lions Club who are hard workers. They've got the drought relief now. That's a big project for them.
Project.
He came along because he realised that as he was doing more work for Lions, he was meeting more businessmen, people, and he needed to be able to express himself to them. He doesn't change his accent, he doesn't change a lot of his work, but he learns to slow down and he learns to pause and he learns to get the message across without...
And in a small amount of time that you have it as well.
Sure.
Yeah. So tell me, what are the 4 steps to a conversation to help start the conversation?
Obviously, the first one would be asking someone, "Are you okay?" And then, the next step is to listen. Like you're just an ear, a set of ears for someone to unload on, pretty much. Listen without judgment. It's the biggest thing. With an open mind, with what people have to say, and then we encourage action. So that action could be in a school setting, tell a teacher, report it to a family member, or it could be a lot further where we have things like Lifeline and Black Dog Institution and things like that there. And then the most important one, I think a lot of people forget about when in these 4 steps, is check in. Yeah. So your job's not done, or you've set up that to ask a question and you've done all that part of it, but a week later, just, hey, how's everything going? Did you ring Lifeline, or did you do this, or did you do that?
That can be as easy as a text as well, can't it?
Most definitely. In the modern day with social media and everything like that, it could be a text, could be a message on Facebook, could be anything like that. So I have kids all over the world that I deal with, for rugby league, and just send a simple message every now and then when I know they're going through something hard, and they won't pick up the phone. I know they won't.
No,
so
that's right.
A text message is where it comes through.
Or a
and
Facebook message.
Yeah, a Facebook message or a social media message, and we seem to have a half an hour conversation that I could have had in 10 minutes. But it's still about checking in and making sure they're okay.
Yeah.
Because they're so savvy, aren't they? With the computers and Google and all that these days, which we never had.
No.
So they would spend time, instead of a vocal, they would be able to do that and express themselves.
And I guess as older people here, Chris, we've got to appreciate that that's how some of the younger ones are going to communicate. They're not going to sit down with us and talk about it. It's going to be through other means, so we have to be okay with that. And I think a lot of people are scared about asking the question, "Are you okay?" because they feel that, well, what if they say, "No, I'm not okay. I don't have the skills to fix this." I guess coming into that conversation, just to check in, you don't have to fix the problem.
No, definitely not. You're not a psychologist. You're not a doctor. You're just, like I said, a set of ears to listen to.
And it might be the first time this person's actually said, "No, I'm not. I don't think I am. Hang on. I haven't asked myself if I'm okay." A lot of this is revelations to them as well. They might have not really had the insight. They might have been travelling along themselves, and it isn't until you sort of say, "Look, you've been a bit down, or you're not eating well, or you're not looking good, you haven't showered, or you're turning up late every day to work. What's going on?" And they might not have really put 2 and 2 together either. So it's an opportunity to give them some insight.
Yes, most definitely, and they're some of the signs that you come to. And I guess just quickly, that's where I become involved with Are You OK? I was working for the National Rugby League at the time and travelling the world and travelling Australia at the time, in particular in remote areas and away from family. And I suppose I took a phone call from a 12-year-old, a FaceTime call, and rang to tell me how he went at footy that day, and I was preparing myself to do something I'll call silly now. And he rang and just saw in my face that something wasn't right. And he said, "I hadn't heard from you in a couple of weeks." And, that simple question of, "Are you okay?" And then, we went through all, I didn't want to tell him what I was doing or where I was, but it's made me realise, no, I'm not. And yeah, I needed to come home and get my stuff back in order.
Yeah, get sorted. Yeah. And get the resources, because oftentimes we think, oh, look, I've got to sort this out. And we often, we're stuck in it and we become burdened with, I've got to work this out myself. I don't want to tell anyone. People might think I'm weak. This is not going to, look good for me at work or at school or whatever. And so there's a lot of fear-based stuff. So it took a 12-year-old really to sort of bump you up and sort of say, look, you need to do something about this. He didn't fix it. He just, put the finger on the
Yeah, he just
page
highlighted
for
what was wrong with me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't myself at the time, I suppose, and I didn't realise it till he brought it up. And that's where it all come to reality and things like that. And I guess the other part of it is too, when we say encourage action and we listen and stuff like that, is the biggest words I think I found most important are you're not alone.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And everyone has a story. I mean, everyone has a story. As I said, everyone has mental health. It just depends on where on that day or that year or that time of your life. We're all, it's a bit of a ladder. Sometimes we're pretty good with it, and other times we can be, not so great, and we need a bit of a help up that ladder.
Because when you see some of these rugby and rugby league players and Aussie rules players, big, tough men who can go out there and have 100% on the field.
Oh, yeah.
But when they're off the field and they're not belting the ball up or kicking it, and all of a sudden they start to doubt themselves.
The pressure that
and this
they
is
would
where
have.
Chris comes in, because he can help them look to the future and sit down with them and say, righto, let's do this. This is a plan that will work for you. And through Toastmasters, I found too, like I retired last year, 12 months ago, from playing music, 45 years in the clubs. And I never stopped to think, what am I going to do?
No.
Because I left of my own free will, and it was our choice to retire. A lot of people don't get that choice.
No.
They
a lot of
walk
people
in and
through
there's
injury
your marching orders.
Yeah, or through injury or illness,
Sure.
especially with NRL blokes, usually it's through injury,
Yes.
it's cut short.
I was talking to Chris, and I think the game nowadays, it just looks so tough. Every player gives 100% on the field. And of course that takes it on your body and your mind as well.
Oh, yeah. The pressure that these guys have on and off the field. I mean, they're young blokes. They're young blokes. I mean, if you put yourself back in what were you doing in your 20s? Were you a role model for thousands of kiddies around the world and had to go out and do amazing things, physical things on the football field, and then you got to dress up and pretend you're the part for all these balls and everything. I mean, it's a lot of hats you've got to wear, and I guess going to something like Toastmasters enables you to navigate through those different parts of your life, really.
It does, because you're among people that have got a similar goal. And they've either been where you are and they were looking for something, whether it was the
Very
social
much, yeah.
side or whether it was to learn how to make a
Skill
speech
set.
or just to talk a little bit better, promote yourself more instead of staying in the background. And we found that on the Central Coast there's a great, I was going to use the word plethora.
Yes.
I've been dying to say that word for years.
Yes,
of
plethora. I love it.
Toastmasters clubs. Like I said before, within 20 minutes of you, there will be one.
Yeah.
Dynamic Dora Creek.
Yes.
You've got Toronto. You've got Coastal Communicators at Doyleson, Wyong. You've got Diggers down the entrance. You've got all these different groups that all you have to do is find them on the web. Go on to www.toastmasters.org and you will find a section there, find a club. Now, if you're in the Budgewoi area, you just click on there and find the nearest club to you.
Or even find one that is on a day or an evening that suits you. I mean, you could go to a few if you wanted.
Well, I am. I'm president of
there
Wyong,
you
but
go.
I'm also in Dynamic Dora Creek.
I know you're part of Dynamic Dora.
And my wife
They're
is the
great.
president of Dynamic Dora Creek.
Yeah, they're great friends of the show. We love them. Yeah.
No, but it's doesn't hurt at all to be part of two organisations.
No.
Because you're helping one and you're helping yourself as well. And when everyone comes to a Toastmasters meeting, and it doesn't matter what club, you'll know you're there with positive people. Everything's evaluated, and it's not hurtful evaluation,
No,
it's
it's
helpful.
constructive.
and constructive.
That's
which
what I've always loved about Toastmasters.
Yep.
Yeah.
They
Is that you're
they
open.
help you suggesting, and it's only a lot of the evaluators, it's their opinion, and 90% of the time it's correct, and you realise you've been flapping your hands around,
Yeah.
or you've been twitching or whatever, and if you can get that out of your system, you're a better
I love
speaker.
it because it's a safe place to practice.
It is.
And then when you go out into the real world, whether, as you say, it is in that wedding or, you know, for some of these NRL guys who, you know, some of the teenagers, they've got to go and make speeches, or they're going out to schools, and I mean, suddenly they've got this hat on that now they're a role model, and you know, they've got to learn those skills.
They've got a lot to live up to,
A lot, yeah.
and that's
it's
sometimes a lot of the
is tough,
pressure
yeah,
comes with
yeah.
that.
So on Friday, can someone like me just turn up?
You can turn up as
Yeah.
long as we know, basically, if you can give us a call for catering purposes, because there is a light
purposes.
lunch.
Okay, fantastic.
At the moment, there's about
Yep.
50 coming.
And you've got different services going to be there, different
Well,
mental health.
we've got the Vietnam Vets,
Yeah.
RSL, we've got View Clubs, Probus,
great.
Lions, Rotary, and we've got different people from different organisations which you think, what have they got to do with Are You OK? The thing is, they're in the organisation of making people feel better.
I reckon everyone is in the business of Are You OK? Don't you think? Like every community group, it belongs in every group.
Sure.
Sporting group, community group, you know, school,
Yeah.
workplace. It belongs in everything.
We have our local councillors are coming along. We have parts of a choir coming along, not to sing,
love it.
but because when they sing, they make people happy,
Of course.
and it picks you up. It's self-esteem, I think. Once you start losing your self-esteem, that's when you need a lot of help
Yeah.
to get it back in, belief in yourself. Like I said before, if you give your marching orders and you're looking for another job, no one there to help you.
Yeah, it can be quite isolating and lonely, and that's where
Sure.
it goes down.
And to turn up to an employer and say, this is what I've done, put it all together so you sell yourself, that's a hard part. We talked about that before. But through groups and like Are You OK? And like Chris said, every day.
Every
should
day is
be.
Are You OK? What are some of the signs then, Chris, that people are not going okay? They may not know, they might very well know. What are some of the signs?
Obviously, there's financial hardships that come up. They distance themselves. People distance themselves
Okay.
from groups.
So they're avoiding things.
Yeah, avoiding just their
Yeah,
dress,
not turning
their
up.
behaviour, are the main common sides. I'll go back to that social media outlet stuff at the moment. I find that a lot of young ones are expressing themselves on social media
Yeah.
a lot more.
Or will avoid social media,
Yeah.
suddenly back off and
Well, that's right.
Yeah, delete themselves.
Yeah,
or
the
whatever.
opposite way
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that that distance themselves from all that side of it all too. There's two ways of doing it, and that's where I find out a lot what's going on with the kids in particular. Like, I'll write something on social media and go, hang on, this doesn't look right. I'll
No.
give them a call and see
So if
what's
it
going
doesn't
on.
feel right, check your gut.
Yeah.
For I guess we're not talking about the kiddies, but you know, we might be talking about the kiddies. People who are increasing their alcohol intake, or perhaps drinking by themselves at home. They're all keys and signs that we've got to start looking for.
And
Yeah.
maybe that phone call will just be the one that, like Chris said, he got that message from a 12-year-old.
Yeah, yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you know a lot of people. When you think about it, you've got telephone numbers for a lot of
Oh,
friends. You might
definitely.
not have seen them for a couple of years.
No.
How you doing? Are you okay? And then if they're a friend, you can usually discuss if there's any problems.
Yeah, yeah.
Financial seems to be a big one.
Yeah,
Chris.
and especially in, I suppose, a local setting like a bowling club or a sports club or something. If someone regularly plays or is at the club and then you haven't seen them in a week or two, it's like, well, hang on, what's going on?
Time
Where
to
are they?
knock on the door.
Yeah, go and knock on the door and see if they're there and what's going on, and then to get them back into it. I'll come down and have a drink, or not so much drink, but come down and have a coffee and
Yeah, and know as well that you don't have to fix this. You
Yeah.
just you're just flying the flag of the Are You OK? So big day for you on the 13th. What are you doing on the 13th, Chris?
The 13th, the actual day I'm at. So I sat on the panel for the grants applications on the Central Coast.
Sure.
And, congratulations to all Toastmasters
Oh,
too. We
brilliant
had
work.
50 applicants and we got 15. So on that day I'm at Henry Kendall High School. I'm in the city in the morning for the launch of it, and then I'm at Henry Kendall High School for they're doing a massive day there.
Yeah.
And then I'm at the Royal Hotel with the Men Elite Foundation, and they've got an event with the RU OK as well. So
you've got a big. Well, this is a big month for RU OK, but every day is RU OK.
yeah, and I suppose it signifies that I think just about the next 3 weeks I've got an event on every day for RU OK. So
And good work for you guys. Wyong RSL this Friday, 10:30.
10:30 start, till
start.
about 12:30. There's a light lunch in the middle, and they'll just see a Toastmaster club in action,
Yeah,
which they will
love
be
it.
involved in as well.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
we're looking forward to it, and seeing all those service clubs together, and maybe a chance to network amongst themselves. What are
Exactly.
you doing? What
Yeah.
have you done? And
Yeah.
etc. Which then gets them tighter together.
I think that that's a fantastic way of networking and getting all the services to work together, because ultimately we're a big community.
Sure.
That's how we run with it. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It's been lovely to chat with you. Chris Newman from RU OK, he's the Central Coast Ambassador, and of course Martin Beggs, the President of the Wyong Toastmasters. Thank you so much for joining us, and we can't wait to hear how those events and functions go.
Thank you, Martine, and thank you to 97.3 for helping us put this message out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's happening in the community around our fabulous lake? Find out with Martine Patterson every Monday between 9 a.m. and 12 noon. Lake Mac Life on Lake Macquarie FM 97.3.